I am a relatively relaxed person who enjoys life and adventure, but I seem to have a little bit of an alter ego when I am racing and become quite competitive. I never thought I would be a professional triathlete. In fact, I didn't even know as a kid triathlon existed. It's always evolved to this point where, yeah, I'm racing the best in the world.
Methven is a sort of rural town based in a location of called Canterbury, New Zealand. Yeah, sort of traditional sort of way of life really in New Zealand. It still sort of represents that really.
Obviously, it's really, I guess, fortunate to grow up in a really cool small town, and there's just over 1,000 people in the town. You literally knew everybody.
Braden and I grew up here as kids on the farm, so a lot of our lifestyle sort of evolved around the farm.
We'd always give them some tractor work to do, right through to crutching lambs to shifting livestock and harvesting time, yeah.
From a young age, I would go and start working on the farm as soon as I could after school.
Braden didn't really gel with the education system. Between being dyslexic and the inability to sort of sit still and concentrate, you know, school probably wasn't really the greatest place for him.
I left school quite young. One of my first jobs was to go to Canada and drive harvesters. I loved those long days. I thrived on the fact that they were like 17-hour days for 3 months, kind of back to back, and it's quite similar to what I do now. It's like you choose a period, you choose an event, and you work really hard for 3-4 months.
He's got that determination and grit. When he gets his mind set on something, he just keeps going, and there's no, you know, oh, I've had enough, I'll go somewhere else. He just keeps going.
If you're standing on the start line with him and you look at him, you know that he's done more training than you probably, you know, because he is dedicated to training and he works hard.
When we started off, obviously I had a young family. I had my son when I was 21. Definitely no money to our name, and it was literally when I started racing endurance sport, it was racing for survival. Like every race we went to, we had to make money. The credit card was maxed every time we left the country. Becoming a father at a young age, it gave me a lot of consolidation in what I was doing, and I probably didn't realise it at the time, but I guess the focus for becoming, I guess, a professional athlete in a lot of ways was driven from having kids. Yeah, we've based a lot of places around the world and taken the kids to all these places too.
We never know what's coming next. We do everything off feel and intuition and what feels right at the time, because that's all we've really got. We'll sacrifice anything for Braden to be the best he can be, but at the same time, there's this layer of fun and adventure within it all because it's so unexpected.
What have you been doing this morning, boys?
We went for a jog along the lakefront and we came back.
Yeah.
We went for a swim in the lake and it was about freezing.
Yeah.
And then we came back up and we went for a skateboard down the street.
The journey for me has been a huge growing experience. It's as much watching my kids go through that experience too, and I think it's turned them into really, I guess, confident and quite self-motivated kids.
Yo.
Yo.
How you doing?
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, pretty good, eh?
Very good, George. Kind of like a cheese scone, but...
Yeah. That one's
Potato.
been in the oven for like 2 hours now though.
No complaints here, mate. It's a very individual sport. Triathlon it's obviously when I get on the race course, it's up to me. But I feel very grateful that I get to share the life kind of that goes with it. I think as an athlete, for me, it's been a real evolution. We've had the ability to become a lot more financially stable and really the racing's become purely a self-driven focus and a real goal for myself, I guess a real desire to be one of the best in the world.
As a triathlete, I think I'm a front runner. I like to set the pace. I love suffering, I love the hurt. I love making it hard for other people. The swim, bike and run are all comparative strengths for me. I think if anybody is racing me, they looking for weaknesses is going to be something pretty difficult for them. That sounded a bit cocky, but we'll go with it. That's what they want, right? This is the guard dog. I'm a bit of a, everyday guy. I play video games. I love watching movies. I love coffee. Yeah, I mean, just an average dude, I guess, that does professional sport for a living. We're going to do a little espresso here. 18 grams of ground coffee. Definitely the last kind of 5 or 6 years, coffee has turned from like a hobby into a passion just as much as drinking coffee. I love making coffee. Distribution tool, so it evenly distributes the grounds in the portafilter. The sounds, the smells, experimenting with different beans, different varieties. The grinder is probably far and away the most important piece because you need to make sure you're getting the even, fine grinds. Yeah, I think that's what makes it really fun and exciting for me is that there's so much nuance to coffee. I'd love to explore the possibilities of opening up a cafe or a coffee shop, perhaps after triathlon. That is the espresso. Yeah, so just a 3-hour ride, pretty endurance, nothing special, just some time on the legs. I don't really like being the center of attention. I like, I was always the kid that liked to, bit of a quiet achiever, do his own thing in his own space in his own time. As kids, me and my brothers were always taught to be humble, and I think that's definitely carried with me into my adult life and into my triathlon career as well. There was a period earlier this year where there was a lot of difficult weeks of training for me because I wasn't feeling myself. My energy levels were super low. I think that then spiraled into my mood and general kind of mental health declining a little bit as well. I think it was difficult to be motivated to train when training wasn't going well. I would wake up and almost dread going out the door because I wasn't sure if my body was going to give me what I needed. You don't want to be scared to go training. I think that was, part of the alarm bells that were going off that perhaps I needed to, take a step back and find the path again. I did have to kind of watch my competition and athletes that could potentially overtake me. I had to watch them race when I couldn't, and that was a little bit difficult. Being patient and recognizing that and not being shackled to a certain time or a certain race that was coming up, giving myself the time that I needed has really worked in my favor. Two hours, 58 minutes. I'm supposed to do 3 hours, but I'm not going to ride around the car park for 2 minutes. I was able to put in a good training block leading into 70.3 Boulder last weekend. This might mortify a few people, but I scrambled the eggs in the pan. You got to save the washing up, save the dishes. Boulder 70.3 is kind of like who's the king of Boulder, because it's everybody here that races. You don't get too many people from out of town. But going in, I was actually super confident because I'd done some really good training. The month leading into Boulder had gone really well. The race, I was second behind Sam Long. He had a great race and I had a great race, and he was just faster on the day, and full credit to Sam. I was happy with my race. into this next block of training. It's given me a few things that I know I need to work on, but definitely a great kind of launching pad into the Collins Cup and the other championship races coming up in the next few months. Trying to get Zwift set up. There we go.
Hey, Appo, where are you on Zwift? Are you in front of me or behind me?
I'm behind you. I'm a minute 20 behind.
Yeah, already, mate. You're supposed to be on my team. We're supposed to be here together. What are you doing lagging behind already? Congrats on getting married, mate. I haven't seen you since then.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Hardly seen anyone in the last 2 years, really.
This is about as close as it gets to social interaction for pro triathletes right now, eh?
That's it. Yeah, I was using Zwift a bunch in the winter. I got kind of into it because I'm into video games and stuff.
Do you reckon it helps your riding?
Yeah, it's a great tool. It's specific. You can kind of bang out sessions pretty quickly. You know, you could do 90 minutes on the trainer. You don't have to deal with traffic or adverse weather. And
I think it's kind of somewhat compulsory for us these days. That consistency of riding that you get on Zwift, just the consistent effort, relates so well to time trialing.
Yeah, I think you're right. You know, if I did 2 hours on Zwift, I'm getting off with, you know, the shaky legs.
Hey, don't lie, Sam. Sam, I went through your rides, and I don't think I saw one over an hour, mate.
That's because they're all lockdown rides. You need to scroll back to 2019 to get the proper sessions.
Oh, yeah, right. You've done a lot of Ks, a lot of climbing. I was impressed.
I was obsessed with getting the Tron bike, you know, that bike of climbing 50,000 meters.
Yeah.
So every time I'd log on, I'd just go straight up out the Zwift. But what I'd do is I'd turn the resistance off. So I wasn't actually climbing, I was just going super slow. So I was cheating the system a little bit.
And you're all sorted for Collins Cup?
Yeah, I think so, mate. I mean, yeah, I feel like I'm on the upswing, feeling really good and enjoying training and racing again. And I think that's the biggest thing, you know, it's not beating my head against the wall.
I think the fun element of it, the captain's kind of choosing where potential points can be made is quite a cool aspect.
Exactly. I think that's what makes it so unique. It's like there's so much of a tactical element in who's pairing off against who. You don't necessarily want to put your best athlete against somebody else's best athlete, because then it, you know, you kind of want to capitalize on your best athletes to score the most points.
It'll be really interesting to see what stacks up to what and what gains the most points, I guess.
The pressure I feel for a race is always the pressure I put on myself, but now it's like you're part of a team. You don't want to be the guy that's letting the team down.
The one that blows out.
I feel like everyone in our team has, you know, is strong across all the disciplines.
Pretty stoked with how the team's worked out. I reckon we got a great shot. Nice. It'll be good to catch up in person, mate. I look forward to it.
Yeah, see you there.